Hello. I want to talk to you about an important topic in this chapter, if not an interesting one, and that's Geographic Information Systems, or otherwise known as GIS. So, in this mini lecture, I want to talk to you about the Geographic Information System and their how they integrate with technology. And in this section, we're going to ask some questions and answer them. So let me just share those questions for you. So if you want to go back and take a look at this with some hard copy, you can do that. There we go. We're going to ask several questions in this chapter. How does one integrate technology? What is the geographic system and how does it get integrated? And what is the geographic database and how does it relate to the GIS? How is the GIS applied? What are systems? How does it relate to the GIS? How are maps used in accordance with the GIS? And what is meant by a model? We talk about a model and what is their importance. So let's ask the first question and answer that. How does one integrate technology? Computers, right? Computers. Computers, they are important at every phase of the map making process. What is the Geographic Information System and how does it get integrated, right? So the Geographic Information System, or the GIS, is, as I said, a computer-based set of procedures for assembling, storing, manipulating, analyzing, and displaying geographically referenced information. So any data that can be located spatially can be entered into a GIS. Now, there are five major components of the GIS. The first one is that it converts paper maps, data tables, and location data into digital form. Secondly, it will store and retrieve data. So it stores and retrieves data. Thirdly, it manipulates the data to use various sources simultaneously. Fourthly, it analyzes the data to glean the most useful information. And then lastly, it takes the data and forms a visual component to it, whether it be a map or a table, right, onto a computer monitor or any hard copy, such as paper. What is the geographic database and how does it relate to the GIS? Well, it is the first step in developing a GIS. So it's a digital record of geographic information from maps, field surveys, aerial photos, or satellite imagery. So the GIS can use such information in many different forms. In other words, um, a physical geographer studying a particular area may use that data or the data that includes rainfall maps at various different points, soil types, etc. So, and then you have urban geographers, an urban geographer. They might use a GIS table or a data set. Let's go with that one. A data set, GIS data set that would include a vast amount of place specific information collected and published by perhaps the U.S. Census Bureau. For example, they may be looking at political boundaries and census tracts. So, regardless, once the data is in the computer, then you can manipulate it. You can manipulate it, you can analyze it, and display it. So, the information can be processed via computers in just mere seconds. And the instructions can come in a matter of seconds as well. So, billions of these sources of information for researchers seeking to analyze many different angles of the subject simultaneously is all coming in so quickly. So, how does one apply the GIS? Human geographers will use it to explore regional economic structure, transportation systems, urban growth patterns. For example, physical geographers will use the GIS to understand things like climate change, deforestation, all sorts of aspects involving the natural environment, right? And then you also have researchers using the GIS from fields ranging from archaeology to zoology. Okay. So, what are systems? What are systems? How does it relate to the GIS? Well, it's a computerized map making system, right? That's the big picture, the computer aspect of it. And many companies in both the private and the public sector, they rely on a GIS to perform various tasks. For instance, in the public sector or the private sector, you might have folks identifying drilling sites, analyzing patterns of crime. And in the public sector, the government may use GIS to set up emergency responses to natural disasters. They might, use GIS to set that up, which leads to the next question. How are maps used in accordance with the GIS? And so here, as a result of disasters, right, maps have been used to locate uh, damaged structures, um, locate underground gas and water lines, assess property damage. And then you have digital maps. Digital maps were vital during the COVID-19 pandemic, thinking back to that, as they tracked the progression of the disease and where epicenters were located, and a voluminous amount of information during that era. What is meant by a model, right? What is meant by a model? This is the last question, right? What is meant by a model and what is their importance? Well, a model is a simplified abstraction of reality, and they are idealized forms to make certain aspects more clear, right? And then scientists will use those models to simplify complex situations. And they do this by eliminating unimportant details, thus isolating one or more items for special study and analysis in order to find out how particular elements interact in a system. Geographers can also experiment with a portion of reality instead of the reality itself via models. So there you have it. The brief mini lecture capsule look at the GIS. Of course, you can read about this in your text, but a very important aspect of this section we're looking at. So I want to include a section in there for you visual and auditory types as well. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me by phone or email. found on the syllabus. Be sure to also check out the things to know features as forecasts to what to know on the quizzes. Okay, so happy studying. Bye.